Have you ever had one of those moments where you stop for just a second and ask yourself, is this really my life? Not because everything is falling apart, not because you're unhappy all the time, but because every day starts looking exactly like the one before. You wake up, check your phone, rush through your responsibilities, solve one problem after another, and before you know it, it's time to go to bed and do it all over again tomorrow. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into years, and somewhere along the way, you begin to feel like you're surviving instead of actually living. What's surprising is that this feeling has become incredibly common. People often believe that if they just work harder, make more money, buy a bigger house, or finally reach that next goal, everything will suddenly make sense. But many people achieve exactly what they spent years chasing and still feel something is missing. That doesn't mean they're ungrateful. It doesn't mean they've failed. It simply means that success and fulfillment are not the same thing. Our minds are constantly telling us that happiness exists somewhere in the future. I'll be happy when things calm down. I'll enjoy life after this busy season. I'll finally relax once I solve this problem. The problem is that life never completely stops bringing new challenges. There will always be another responsibility, another bill, another email, another deadline, another reason to postpone your own happiness. If we're always waiting for life to become easier before allowing ourselves to enjoy it, we may spend years waiting for a moment that never arrives. One of the biggest mistakes we make is believing that our value depends on how productive we are. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned that being busy means being important. We wear exhaustion almost like a badge of honor. We apologize for resting. We feel guilty for taking a break. We convince ourselves that slowing down means falling behind. But have you ever noticed that the people who seem the calmest are not always the ones doing less? Often, they're simply the ones who have learned what truly deserves their attention and what doesn't. Attention is one of the most valuable resources you have, yet it's also one of the easiest things to lose. Every notification, every headline, every endless scroll on social media asks for a piece of your focus. Little by little, your mind becomes crowded with information that often has nothing to do with the life you actually want to build. Then, at the end of the day, you wonder why you feel mentally exhausted, even though you haven't done anything physically demanding. Your brain has been working nonstop, processing hundreds of tiny decisions without ever getting the chance to recover. Another trap that quietly steals our joy is comparison. It's almost impossible to avoid in today's world. Every day we see people traveling, celebrating promotions, buying homes, getting married, starting businesses, reaching goals, looking confident, looking successful. What we rarely see are the sleepless nights, the doubts, the failures, the arguments, the anxiety, or the fear that exists behind those same pictures. When we compare our real lives to someone else's carefully edited highlights, we almost always end up believing that we're behind. But life isn't a race with one finish line. Everyone is carrying different responsibilities, different opportunities, different struggles, and different dreams. Something else happens as we grow older. We become so focused on taking care of everyone else that we slowly forget ourselves. Parents sacrifice for their children. Partners sacrifice for each other. Friends try to help friends. Employees work hard for companies. Students work hard for grades. Somewhere in the middle of all those responsibilities, many people stop asking one very important question: how am I really doing? Not the automatic answer we give when someone asks how we are. I mean the honest answer that only we know. Are we sleeping enough? Are we taking care of our health? Are we spending time with people who make us feel safe? Are we allowing ourselves to laugh? Are we making space for curiosity, creativity, and peace? Or are we simply crossing another day off the calendar? One thing that has fascinated psychologists for years is that the happiest people are not necessarily the ones with the easiest lives. They are often the people who learn how to find meaning inside ordinary moments. They notice the morning sunlight coming through the window. They enjoy a quiet cup of coffee without rushing. They appreciate conversations that don't need to solve anything. They celebrate small victories instead of waiting for huge ones. They understand that life is not built from a few extraordinary days. It's built from thousands of ordinary ones. Think back to some of your favorite memories. Chances are they weren't expensive. They probably weren't perfect either. Maybe it was laughing until your stomach hurt with someone you love. Maybe it was sitting outside on a cool evening. Maybe it was listening to music that made everything feel lighter for a while. Maybe it was hearing someone tell you they were proud of you when you needed it most. Those moments become priceless because they remind us that happiness often arrives quietly. It doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. There's another truth we don't hear often enough. You don't have to earn the right to rest. You don't have to finish every task before taking care of yourself. Your worth has never been measured by how exhausted you are at the end of the day. Rest isn't a reward for working yourself to the limit. Rest is part of what allows you to keep showing up for the people and goals that matter most. Imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. What do you think that future version of you would say? Would they thank you for constantly worrying about things that never happened? Would they tell you to spend even more time comparing yourself to strangers? Or would they gently remind you to slow down, breathe a little deeper, spend more time with the people you love, protect your peace, and stop believing that you always have to do more to be enough? The truth is, your life is happening right now, not next month, not next year, not after the next promotion or the next vacation. Right now, this ordinary Tuesday, this quiet evening, this simple conversation. These are the moments that eventually become your memories. So maybe the goal isn't to create a perfect life. Maybe the goal is to become fully present in the life you already have, to notice the things you've been too busy to see, to appreciate the progress you've been too hard on yourself to recognize, to forgive yourself for not having everything figured out, and to remember that growth doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes growth looks like choosing peace instead of panic. Sometimes it looks like saying no without guilt. Sometimes it looks like putting your phone down and having one honest conversation with someone you love. Sometimes it looks like going to bed a little earlier because tomorrow deserves the best version of you. If today gave you nothing else, I hope it gave you this reminder. You are not falling behind. You are not failing because your journey looks different from someone else's. You are not broken because you feel tired. You're human. And being human means learning, adjusting, making mistakes, starting over, and becoming a little wiser every time life teaches you something new. Take a deep breath. Look around you. There is still time to build a life that feels meaningful, not by changing everything overnight, but by changing one small choice at a time. Those small choices become habits. Those habits become your lifestyle. And one day you'll realize that the life you were searching for didn't appear all at once. It was quietly created by the little decisions you made every single day. Thank you for spending these moments with me. Wherever you are in your journey, I hope you remember one simple truth. You don't have to have a perfect life to live a meaningful one. Sometimes the most beautiful transformation begins the moment you stop chasing a different life and start fully living the one that's already in front of you.